Toxic people don't hold power because they're in your life. They gain it from your reactions. Every time you stay calm, you strip away their influence. You don't need to yell, argue, or prove them wrong to win. True strength lies in mastering your emotions, in becoming so centered that their chaos slides right off you. A philosopher once said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." It's a simple but profound truth. The real challenge isn't the toxic person, it's how you respond to them. You can walk away from a draining job, cut ties with a manipulative friend, or even distance yourself from a family member, but if you haven't fortified your inner world, someone new will come along and trigger the same old wounds. Another thinker put it this way: it's not what happens to us that causes pain, it's the meaning we attach to it. Toxic people only have the power you give them through your reactions, not their words or actions. Let's paint a picture. You're in a work meeting and a colleague takes a subtle jab at you. Maybe they say something like, "Some people must find it easy to skip the details." It's clearly aimed at you, and you feel it in your gut. Your heart speeds up, your palms get sweaty, and the urge to fire back is overwhelming. You want to defend your work, set the record straight, maybe even throw a sharper comment their way. But what if you didn't? What if instead you took a slow, deliberate breath, looked them in the eye with unshaken calm, and continued speaking with clarity and focus? That's not backing down, it's taking control. Your stillness exposes their pettiness. They might double down, raise their voice, or try a new tactic to get a rise out of you, but that's because your composure is unsettling. They need your reaction to feel relevant. When you deny them that, you shift the entire dynamic. You're not just staying quiet, you're claiming your power by refusing to let their noise disrupt your peace. This isn't about bottling up your emotions or pretending you don't care. It's about choosing where to invest your energy. Most people live like emotional puppets, jerked around by every jab, every text, every guilt trip. A single snarky comment can ruin their entire day. A manipulative message can send them into hours of overthinking, questioning their worth. But you have the power to break that cycle. The key is discipline. Discipline to pause when you're provoked, to breathe when you want to snap, to protect your inner peace like it's your most precious resource. Because it is. Toxic people don't just want your attention, they want your emotional energy. They feed on your anger, your frustration, your need to be understood. When you cut off that supply, they lose their grip. They can't thrive without your reaction, and that's where your real strength lies. Let's try another scenario. Imagine you're at a family gathering and someone, maybe a relative who always knows how to push your buttons, makes a backhanded remark. They say something like, "Still figuring out your career?" Guess some people take longer than others. The room chuckles and all eyes are on you. The old version of you might have bitten the bait. Maybe you'd fire back with a sarcastic comment, storm out, or spend the rest of the night stewing over it. But now you do something different. You take a sip of your drink, offer a small, unbothered smile, and let the comment hang in the air. You don't engage, not because you're weak, but because you know their words don't define you. That silence isn't surrender, it's mastery. It's you refusing to let their noise pull you into their drama. A wise philosopher once wrote, "Mastery of silence is mastery of speech." Your quiet response carries more weight than any clever comeback ever could. Why does this work? Toxic people are addicted to your reactions. They're like performers on a stage rehearsing their lines. Whether it's a guilt trip, a passive-aggressive jab, or an outright insult, to keep you hooked. They don't need to win an argument. They just need you to keep playing their game. But when you stop reacting, you stop being their audience. They'll scramble. Maybe they'll get louder, meaner, or try new ways to provoke you, because your detachment exposes their weakness. They don't have real power. They've just practiced manipulation longer than you've practiced self-control. Think of it like stepping into a boxing ring with a seasoned fighter. If you're untrained, you'll take hits, not because they're invincible, but because you haven't learned to dodge or block. Emotional strength is no different. It's built through practice, not born overnight. So how do you train for this? Start small. The next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. Feel the urge to react. whether it's anger, defensiveness, or the need to explain yourself. But don't act on it. Ask yourself, what do I gain by engaging? 9 times out of 10, the answer is nothing. Instead, focus on your breath, relax your shoulders, and let the moment pass. Each time you do this, you're building a mental muscle, rewiring your brain to respond with intention instead of impulse. Over time, their jabs will lose their sting. You're not ignoring them. You're outgrowing them. This is what it means to become untouchable, not shutting them out of your life, but shutting off their access to your peace. Let's talk about the pain toxic people leave behind, because it's real. Maybe it's a betrayal from a friend who turned on you, a partner who chipped away at your confidence, or a family member who used your vulnerabilities against you. That hurt lingers, and it can feel like a weight you carry everywhere. But here's the thing, that pain isn't your shame. It's your source of strength if you use it right. Don't bury it or let it trap you in endless replays of what they said or did. Instead, transform it. A philosopher once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." Use that pain as fuel to grow stronger, wiser, more resilient. For example, maybe you were in a relationship where your worth was constantly questioned. They made you feel like you had to earn their love, like your best was never enough. It broke you down, but now you're free. Use that pain to build a life so full of purpose and peace that they become a footnote, not the headline. Don't live to prove them wrong. Live to prove to yourself that their judgment never defined you. Here's another angle. Approval. Deep down, toxic people hold power because part of you still craves their validation. You want them to see your worth, to admit they were wrong, to give you the respect you deserve. But chasing their approval is like chasing a mirage. It's never really there. They manipulate you not with facts, but with your need to be seen. They dangle their approval like a reward, then pull it away when you don't conform. They use silence, sarcasm, or guilt to keep you hooked, because they know you're still seeking that moment where they say, "You're enough." But here's the hard truth. Their approval isn't love, it's control. The moment you stop chasing it, you reclaim your power. Think back to a time someone hurt you deeply. Maybe you explained yourself over and over, hoping they'd understand. Maybe you waited for an apology that never came. Why? Because you thought their validation would make you whole. But self-worth isn't something you borrow. It's something you build. You don't need their praise to know your value. Stop performing for people who never deserved a front row seat in your life. Let's ground this in another real-world example. You're texting with someone who always knows how to push your buttons, maybe an old friend who thrives on drama. They send you a vague loaded message like, "Didn't think you'd turn out like this." The old you would have typed out paragraphs, trying to clear things up, spiraling into self-doubt. But now you read it, see it for the bait it is, and choose not to reply. Not out of spite, but out of principle. You've decided their game isn't worth your peace. That's not ghosting. It's emotional detachment with intention. It's you recognizing that engaging in their drama only pulls you back to a level you've outgrown. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you're building a fortress around your mind, one that no toxic person can breach. Now let's address a common myth. Not reacting means you're weak. People think if you don't clap back, you're letting them walk all over you. But that's backward. Reacting is a reflex driven by conditioning, not strength. True power is choosing not to react, choosing logic over chaos, intention over impulse. It's not about being passive, it's about being deliberate. Imagine your boss throws a passive-aggressive comment your way after a long day. "Must be nice to leave early while the rest of us handle things." The old you might have argued, defended your work ethic, or fumed silently. But the trained you pauses, asks yourself, "What do I want from this, peace or conflict?" And calmly says, "Let's discuss this when we're both ready to focus on solutions." No drama, no escalation, just quiet strength. That's not avoidance. It's executive-level emotional intelligence. In the end, the most powerful thing you can do is nothing. No comeback, no emotional outburst, no desperate need to be understood. Just calm, intentional silence. Real power isn't loud. It's steady. It's refusing to be pulled into someone else's storm. A philosopher once said, if someone can provoke you, they've already won. Don't let them. Train your mind to stay free, to rise above their noise. Toxic people don't fade because you outsmart them. They fade because you've become someone they can't reach. Let them shout. Let them twist the narrative. Let them burn out. Your job is to stay grounded, to keep your peace non-negotiable. Because when you stop reacting, you stop giving away your power. And that's when you truly win, not by defeating them, but by becoming unshakable. This doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. Non-reaction is about discipline, not suppression. You're not ignoring your emotions, you're mastering them. You're choosing what deserves your energy and what doesn't. Toxic people thrive on chaos, but you're building clarity. They want your pain, your doubt, your attention. When you stop giving them those things, they lose their hold. Picture someone who used to have emotional power over you. An ex, a parent, a colleague. Every time they reached out, you spiraled, whether in anger, guilt, or confusion. But one day you don't respond. No explanation, no apology, just silence. They double text. They accuse you of changing. They try to pull you back in. But you stay steady, not because you're bitter, but because you've outgrown their game. That's when they realize they've lost you. Not because you fought, but because you chose peace. Your journey isn't about erasing toxic people from your life. It's about erasing their influence over your mind. You can block their number, move across the country, or cut all contact. But if they still live in your thoughts, they still win. True freedom comes when you let go of the need for their approval, their apology, or their understanding. You don't need one last conversation to find closure. You don't need them to admit they were wrong. You need to believe in your own worth, to anchor yourself in your own respect. When you do that, you become someone they can't touch. Not because you've built walls, but because you've built a life so strong, their chaos can't shake it. Let them perform their drama. Let them scream into the void. You're gone, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And in that absence, they lose all power.